Hey Tristan, hey everybody, it's time for another tractor video. Alright y'all, if you missed our last video of the Farmall Cub tractor revival, this is in honor and dedication of Tristan Smith, my nephew, who loves tractors. He's a young man, lives in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, and my brother Jonathan Smith and he have made this tractor pretty for the last 6 months, and they brought it to Mississippi for Uncle Rob to basically get the thing running, seal the deal. I get to do the easy part. They have done the hard part, doing all this restoration and paint and all that kind of stuff on this tractor. So I commend them, a father and a son that has worked together so hard to make something like this happen. So Tristan, here's another episode, and what we're going to do in this episode, the video might be a little bit shorter, but we're going to put the hood on, we're going to hook the gas tank up, we're going to see if it runs under its own power under the carburetor, and I tell you what, we might even put it in gear, back it out of the shop and see if she runs. Hey buddy, I love you, and I hope you enjoy this episode, because this is all for you, Tristan's tractor. Okay Tristan, let me give you a little walk around and show you some things Uncle Rob has done since our last video. Before I put the hood on, I wanted to make sure our alternator was all hooked up. So really, I'll be honest with you, my Cub, I don't even have an alternator on it, because the only thing that I use the battery for is for the starter, to crank the engine, but also to ignite the coil, or give power to the coil to run the engine. And I'll be honest with you, I can run in the field all day long and not even use half the capacity of the battery. But you never know, we might have some lights on this tractor. We might do some pretty stuff with this thing. Might even have something on the back that requires some electrical energy. So this alternator was already on there, and it is a Mitsubishi. I tell you, if it's not Ford or Chevy, I have a little difficult time saying it. But what I like about this alternator is that it's small. It's very small, and most folks that put alternators on a Cub, it'll be the big old GM one-wire alternators, and they'll end up cutting a hole in the hood over here for it to stick out. But I like this one because it is small and it tucks up under the hood very nicely. I think it's only about a 35 amp alternator, but so what? All we need that thing to do is to crank the tractor. Well, literally the battery is cranking the tractor. We just need for it to add energy back to the battery so that it doesn't get drained all the time. Okay, so I've done that, fixed that wiring. I've got basically one wire that goes to the battery, and I connected it to the battery through this connection right here, and there's a wire right here that senses the voltage of the battery and regulates the output of the alternator based on that wire right there. So that's what that is. Let's see, I cleaned up a lot of the wiring. Okay, so all of that's in good shape. Fixed some bolts down here that were a little messed up, and I also worked on this side of the hood right here that actually helps hold the hood on. The bolts weren't in great shape down there. So that's it, bud. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna get that hood right there, and we're gonna ease it over here to this tractor and put it on, and let's see what the gas tank looks like. All right, I'll be back in a second. Okay, Tristan, I'm working on the fuel connections for the tank, and what I'm about to put on here is Teflon tape. And Teflon tape, when you put it on these threads, kind of seals up the gap between the threads so that the fuel doesn't leak through. So you simply just kind of roll that tape on there, get it kind of tight, pull it around, do it about 2 or 3 rounds, pull it off. All right, make sure there's really none down in here because you don't want those little shreds of tape to get down in the carburetor. So I'm going to put it in this fitting. And it's going to be a little tight, and that's good. You want it to be tight. Ruh-roh. That was a little too tight there, Tristan. I don't think my thread started off good either. There it goes. There it goes. It's much better now. Okay. All right, I'm just getting a little snug, but that Teflon is down in those threads now. So now what I'm going to do, that's an adapter that I'm going to put on the fuel bowl in the gas tank. I'm going to put some more of that Teflon tape on that and install it in the gas tank over there. Hey Tristan, I put that fitting in the fuel bowl. This is it right here. You see that Teflon tape? Now Uncle Rob made a big mistake. He assumed that your father put Teflon tape on the fitting here. But when I was putting this fitting on, I realized this fitting was loose. And guess what? I had to take the tank all the way back off just to screw this off to put it back in. So tell your daddy, thank you. You know, I'm just pulling his leg. I'm pulling your leg. That's fine. We're just going to put some Teflon tape right here because we sure don't want, as expensive as gas is these days, we don't want any of that gas leaking out. So here we go. Well, let me get it where you can see it. All right, so I'm putting tape all on that thread right there. And let me tell you the purpose of this thing, of what this is. The fuel in your tank that goes down to the carburetor, and I'll show you that in just a minute. Actually, it comes out of this hose and goes down to the carburetor. There's no fuel pump on a Farmall Cub. It all works by gravity. So the tank up at the top, the gas comes down through this bowl, and there's a little screen in here that's actually the fuel filter, okay? But you also have the ability to turn the gas on and off with this as well. And I highly recommend that anytime you set a tractor up for any amount of time, or even some of the old tractors, that's how you cut them off. You just cut the fuel off and it eventually goes dead after it uses all the gas up. So this is a little old-timey. Modern tractors have fuel pumps on them. They have fuel filters, but this is rudimentary. But you know what? This works very well. I don't have to go buy a fuel filter ever. All I have to do is take this little glass bowl off, clean all this out, and then put it back on there. I really think they were thinking more about the farmers back in the 1940s and 50s by doing stuff like this than all the stuff you have to buy now. But anyway, that's just Uncle Rob's opinion. But let's get this put on because we're very close to putting gas in that tank and seeing if everything works. All right, dude, I'll bring you back in a second. Y'all, it's so hot in Mississippi that you can't even walk outside without getting drenched wet. I haven't been out here 30 minutes and I'm already almost soaked wet in my shirt. It's just hot in Mississippi. Got up to 93 today and it's starting to go down. I'm hearing some thunder rolling out there, so maybe it'll cool down soon. Anyway, I was asked to introduce my shopmate that I had in the last video. She has a little bit of attention deficit disorder problem. Anyway, here's Sweetie. Sweetie, come here. Come here. All right, this is Sweetie. She is an Australian cattle dog. Australian. Anyway, blue heeler. We've had blue heelers on this farm for, I don't know, probably 45 years. And Sweetie is our latest in the line of blue heelers. And she is, like I said, a blue heeler. I have to constantly tell her to sit. Hey, sit, come here, sit. She will sit. Sit. Well, sit. Okay, it's just the staying part that's the problem, okay? Now, they are very hyperactive dogs. They're herding animals, and Sweetie is no exception. She'll herd anything that moves. A chicken, a bird, a rabbit, other dogs, people. She will herd them up wherever. But she is a sweetheart. So blue heelers are a cross between a Dalmatian and an Australian dingo. So basically we got a half a coyote here, and they made that breed because dingoes love to eat animals, okay, like a coyote, and then Dalmatians love animals. So they figured if they bred the two together, this dog would herd well but not eat the animal. And I think that worked out well. She does. She'll play with anything and bite the heel on anything to hurt it, but she won't eat it, thank goodness. But she's constantly out here at the shop with me and just wants to be a part of the herd. So. Okay, Tristan, I've got the fuel bowl on. You can see it right there. Got a hose that's going down to the carburetor, and I just put about a gallon of gas in the tank. So if you'll look in here, you'll see the fuel bowl is relatively empty. I had the valve kind of stuck open a little bit, so I closed it real quick before it would fill up, because I wanted you to be able to see the fuel bowl filling up. Remember, I told you that gravity is bringing the gas out of this tank. So on the back side back here, there is a valve, and I'm going to open it up. And what we're going to, see the gas starting to come out? All right, there we go. The fuel bowl is filling up. Now I hope we don't have leaks. Let's check for leaks. Remember, I put some thread sealant here, and I know somebody is going to comment about me using that big old clamp on that little bitty hose. But you know what? When you're on the farm, you just have to work with what you got. When the auto parts store is 30 miles away, you just have to make do, okay? Now that's on my list. That clamp is on my list to replace. But for now, we're just concerned about getting the tractor going. And look, I don't mind if somebody criticizes me over that. I'm a school principal, and I've learned over the last 20 years, actually 28 in the field, that it doesn't matter. I can get criticized and think very happy thoughts in my mind about somebody. It doesn't bother me anymore at all. So go ahead and criticize my clamp. Somebody, just do it. And I'll say, bless your heart. That's what we say in the South. Okay, anyway, enough of that rambling. All right, so I don't see any leaks. See the thread tape there, there. I don't see any leaks on it, so we did a good job putting that on. So what we need to do next is see if we're getting gas to our carburetor. And this is a brand new carburetor, by the way. I told your daddy to just order one off Amazon and not even worry with rebuilding the old one. And the old one actually had fallen apart. So this is brand new, and I think it was only about 30 bucks. So what I'm gonna do is pull this little plug right here. I'm gonna open it up some and see if we get any gas coming out. Yep, look at there. It's already starting to come out. Okay, we did a little more so you can see it. See it coming out of my finger? So I know that we're getting gas down to this bowl, all right? So inside of this bowl, there's a little float that cuts the gas on and off, okay? So if we have fuel in here, vacuum of the engine will cause a Venturi effect and mix the air that comes in here with the fuel that comes in here and create a atomized fuel mixture that will go into our tractor. You remember those spark plugs in the last episode? We got those sparking, those sparkulators right there. So that mixes air, fuel with fire and creates a boom that makes our engine run. So, you know what? I think we're ready to pull the trigger and see if this baby will run for the first time. Actually, the second time. You remember in the last video, we actually got it to run off of starting fluid, but I wanted to hear it run for longer than, say, 10 seconds. So here we go. I'm gonna shift the camera, go pull the lever, and let's see if we can make fire happen. Okay, bud, so here we go. Here's the moment of truth. So remember, this lever is what cranks the tractor when you pull that. This lever actually operates the choke on the carburetor. And when a tractor's cold, it might need to be choked a little bit in order to get fuel in there to cut on, so, or to actually run the tractor on. So remember, we installed the switch key last time. I'm going to cut it on. I'm going to make sure that our tractor is out of gear, because Uncle Rob doesn't need that tractor to crank up and then run all through his shelf and get everything more disorganized than it already is. So we just don't need that to happen. All right, so the switch key is on. Okay, we're out of gear. All right, I'm gonna pull the lever. And what are the chances this thing's gonna crank right up? What are the chances? All right, let's find out. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Ooh, there's something rattling. What is that? What's that rattling sound? Let's see. I think it might be, yep, might be the alternator hitting the side of the hood right here. Remember I told you how that alternator was small and it fit under there? Yeah, maybe it's not small enough. Well, let's see what that does. Okay. Okay. All right, what happened, Tristan? Something happened. Did our battery cables lose connection? Let's try it again. Uh-oh. Well, that was not a very successful first attempt there, my friend. You know what? Uncle Rob may have to come back and figure out what's going on. Maybe we've got a bad connection down in here. I don't know. But regardless, we're dead. Tell you what, let me cut the camera and do a little troubleshooting and I'll come back. Okay, bud? Okay, Tristan, what happened was, again, this is an old cable, one that I just put on the tractor just to get it running. These bolts right here weren't tight. Again, I don't like this. I don't like this cable, but it's one of those things when you're on the farm and you just got to make do, that's what you do, okay? So we had lost connection right in here. So I tightened these two bolts down. I tightened those two down, okay? So here we go. Let's try to bring on the thunder again. Cut the key on and pull this lever in 3, 2, 1. Runs good. I mean, runs like a brand new tractor. Look at that. We don't have any leaks. He purrs like a kitten. Let's do this a little bit. Wow. Wow. And pretty good oil pressure. All right, Tristan, you know what I think we need to do now? I think we need to take her for a spin. I'll see if I can find the muffler. I'll stick it on there, wrap up some of this wiring, and let's go for a ride. How about it? Man. All right, so that wire hanging down right there, that's for this light. That goes to the light right there. And I'm gonna have to do something about that green wire, because I'm telling you, back when this tractor was made, the farmers believed you either had a red tractor or you had a green tractor. And to have a John Deere green wire on a red Farmall, that's literal heresy, you know? That's terrible. And on the other side, it's got a blue wire. And you know, Ford was blue back in the day. So this one's gonna go to this other light over here. So I'm gonna have to do something about that too, because we can't have a green and a blue wire on a red Farmall tractor. That just cannot happen. All right, I'm gonna find that exhaust pipe. I'm gonna put a little more gas in the tank. Then we're gonna get on this baby and take her out through the yard and see if something happens. All right, wish us luck. Okay, Tristan, here's our first run. I'm out of gear. Let's turn the switch key on. Let's crank her up. Man, that thing runs good. Listen to that. All right, let's try our gear for the first time, see if the clutch works. Okay. Will it move? Woo! Okay, moving. All right, I gotta put the camera down so I can get out of the shop. There's the other cub. Tristan, I wish mine looked as pretty as yours. We're gonna work on that. John Deere B and a John Deere M in there. Hey, bud. This is fun. Well, Tristan, you've got a sweet little tractor, man. It does not smoke. It's got good oil pressure. It just looks good. I mean, how can you not like something the way that looks? All right, so there's only two things I found during the test drive. I've got to put the grill on it. That's not hard. That's easy to do. But the throttle lever won't hold in full throttle. It wants to pop back down. Over time, these little tabs right here get worn off. You can see how that one's a little sharper than those are. What's supposed to happen is that's supposed to catch in those tabs, and it just doesn't do that, and it won't stay in place. So we're going to replace that throttle linkage right there. And I did hear some clunking going on around here in the transmission a little bit, and I was concerned earlier. This gear shift is awfully loose, so there's something going on in here, but that didn't cause any major problems. That might not be something we have to worry about right now. But that's only two things, Tristan. So we're going to end this video right here with this beautiful tractor running just perfectly, purring like a kitten. I mean, you can't ask for a better running tractor than this right here. So next thing I'm going to do is put some toolbars on it, and we're going to do some work. We're going to turn some dirt, okay? Well, dude, I hope you enjoyed this video. And come down, see Uncle Rob soon. And look, I need you to take my tractor and make it as pretty as this one. I really would appreciate that. All right, bud. I love you. Take care. Hope to see you soon.